by the majority leader, though we already consider ourselves, but we haven't handed over to the majority leader. And therefore, I think the process of now putting the grievances and the problems of the deputy governors is already taken care of, will be taken care of in that bill. One other thing about Honorable Speaker is that, you know, we have also a deputy president in this country. The deputy president actually is the principal deputy of the president. And he has own responsibilities. He has been given at executive order by the president. He's already running several functions. He's actually in charge of devolution. He's in charge, he's the chair of the IPAC. I think even the deputy governors should be given responsibility equally, so that at least they can be able to function and work with the governors, and so that they can be able to deliver. With those few information, I wish to support the petition. Thank you.
Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for your indulgence. Mr. Speaker, the statement sought by the Senator for Taita Taveta County, the Honorable Jonas Mwaruma, could not have come at a better time. And I'm really hoping that the Committee on Devolution of this House...
Now, Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
That statement was actually dropped.
Oh. But allow me to say one thing, Honorable Speaker.
So don't comment on it.
Yes, because I caught the tail end of the submissions by my colleague from Nandi on some of the unfortunate pronouncements we had from the National Assembly yesterday regarding the decision by this House to award 415 million shillings to county governments. Honorable Speaker, I think there are things that we as a House have to make very clear. Number one, when we ask for more resources to be devolved to county governments, it's not to take away from the CDF or the National Affirmative Action Fund in the National Assembly. I think what some honorable members in the National Assembly were trying to do is to poison the mind of Kenyans that, in fact, we're going to raise those funds in order to raise the 24 billion extra that this House passed for county governments. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want the National Assembly also to address itself to the question of whether there is corruption, mismanagement, and misuse of resources in the national government, so that when they stand up and castigate county governments and say, oh, all these people travel with their girlfriends, it's not as if officers in the national government do not have girlfriends that they travel with. Mr. Speaker, if we are going to have a conversation, I think that conversation has to be an objective conversation. Mr. Speaker, finally, there has to be also a time that in this country, we demonstrate to each individual county how the money that has been allocated to the national government is spread across the 47 counties. Because there is inordinate focus, Mr. Speaker, on the money that is sent to counties from this particular House, and it represents less than 10% of the budget. Mr. Speaker, every time you ask, why are roads not being built in Nairobi? Mr. Speaker, in Nairobi alone, we have 50 stalled road projects. When you ask, you say, oh, but Nairobi received 20 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, an analysis was done of the distribution of resources at the national level from the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and from Kenya. Mr. Speaker, and by illustration, this was an analysis of the constituencies' allocation from Kera and Kura in Kiambu County. And we will not be surprised that the person who was castigating Senate yesterday, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, Mr. Speaker, out of the money that is allocated, 350 million shillings allocated to Kiambu County and Akura, 220 million shillings has somehow found its way to Kikuyu constituency from where this Member of Parliament comes from. Mr. Speaker, 94% of the money under Kera is utilized in Kikuyu constituency alone, 1.45 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. And if you ask Honorable Ichung'wah to add money to the counties, Nairobi alone, Mr. Speaker, the bill for electricity that is owed to Kenya Power is 1.5 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. So that the money that Ichung'wah receives is enough Senator to pay our electricity bills here.
Senator Gloria, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am aware we are discussing county issues, but Mr. Speaker, we still have to be guided by our standing orders. And they are very clear about discussing any other member of, a member of parliament, either from the Senate, Mr. Speaker, or from here. And imputing improper motive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I understand, Mr. Speaker, allow me.
Honorable.
And-
Order,
and allow
Senator
me.
Faki, order.
Mr.
Proceed.
Speaker, protect me. I'm just saying, I understand that we are trying to highlight on the issues of devolution, Mr. Speaker. But can the Honorable Senator of Nairobi try and make his point without discussing another member of parliament who is actually not in the House, Mr. Speaker? That is my point of order.
Senator Gloria, which standing order has been violated?
Mr. Speaker, on, I think it's 98, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just allow me, because I know that this is how we are used to sitting me down. There is even content 101, Mr. Speaker, contents of speech. If you go to 101.3, it shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of the senators or other. Now, 4, no senator shall impute improper motive to any other senator or to a member of National Assembly, except upon a specific and substantive motion, of which at least 3 days' notice has to be given, calling in question the conduct of that senator or member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we want to discuss about the honorable member of parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, Mr. Speaker, Sifuna should just bring a substantive motion and we can discuss his budget of his constituency and whether he's using his money or not. Mr. Speaker, Kimani Ichung'wah is not in the House today, so let Sifuna limit his elaborations and discussions to devolution and whatever is. We're leaving out Kimani Ichung'wah from this situation. Thank you.
Order, honorable senators. The Senator for Nairobi, as you make your intervention, kindly adhere to that standing order. Do not impute any improper motive on either your honorable colleague senators or a member of parliament. So kindly proceed as advised.
I am well guided, Honorable Speaker, but I was thinking that colleagues in this House would be more defensive of the decisions of this House because yesterday the entire Senate was being discussed, Honorable Speaker. And in fact, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senator.
Mr. Speaker, this is an extract of an analysis of the road allocations by those 2 national government entities in Kiambu County as a demonstration.
Senator Gloria.
Mr. Speaker, you must protect me from people who think that by rising on points of order against me, I'm going to make them famous. Because I see them sharing on social media that Sifuna and so are in an exchange. You will have to find your own fame by the quality of debate you bring to this floor. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude. Let me conclude by saying this, Mr. Speaker,
to conclude.
that the discussion about allocation of resources, about the needs of the county governments and the challenges to devolution have to be had in a sober space and with context, Mr. Speaker, because as I was explaining to you before the point of order, 1.4 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, is the amount of money that we require as Nairobi to pay off all our debts at Kenya Power so that all these members who come to Nairobi from those rural constituencies can continue to enjoy those services that the city provides. So when people come here and castigate decisions of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, and attack devolution on the basis of malpractices here and there, yet those similar malpractices are actually present even in the national government. And I will be hoping, Speaker, as I conclude, that when this House puts together its mediation team, they will send serious senators to the mediation team who will not go there to try and defend Kimani Ichung'wah. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Before I ask the clerk to call the next order, I have this message to pass. Honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the decision of the National Assembly on the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024. The message dated Tuesday, 14th of May, 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas on Wednesday, 20th of March, 2024, the National Assembly passed the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024, and thereafter refer the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas on Thursday, the 2nd of May 2024, the Senate considered and passed the said bill with amendments and referred it back to the National Assembly for concurrence. Further, whereas on Monday, 13th May of 2024, the National Assembly considered and rejected the Senate amendments to the bill, thereby committing it to a mediation committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(2) of the Constitution. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41(1) and 148(b) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate and seek the appointment of 9 senators to a mediation committee to consider the bill in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. Honorable Senators, consequent to the said decision, the Speaker of the National Assembly appointed the following members of the National Assembly to the Mediation Committee to consider the bill in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. The Honorable Ndini Nyoro, MP, the Honorable Mary MATIANG'I, MP, the Honorable David Ochieng, MP, the Honorable Nyakundi Mokaya, MP, the Honorable Samuel Moroto, MP, the Honorable Samuel Atandi, MP, the Honorable Naisula Lesuda, MP, the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, MP, and the Honorable Ali Wario Guyo, MP. Now, Honorable Senators, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 166(2) of the Senate, and in consultation with the majority and minority leaders, I will, at the appropriate time, appoint senators to the Mediation Committee. I thank you. Next order. Next order, Clerk. You don't comment on messages, Senator for Nyandarua. Okay, honorable senators, I will, with the limited powers given to me under Standing Order 1 of the Senate Standing Orders, I will allow limited comments on that message. 3 from the majority side and 3 from the minority side. Each speaking for 3 minutes. Senator Fonandi.
Let me go here so that it is captured. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat. The reason as the majority side we supported an increment of 24 billion to 415 billion is to ensure there is equitable and equality in terms of development across the country. Mr. Speaker, it is a shaming. It is unfortunate that members of National Assembly, without running afoul of Standing Order 101, yesterday misled the country by saying we were removing CDF, Sijui Kera money. How, Mr. Speaker? And I'm wondering how can they mislead the whole country? In fact, as Mr. Speaker, asking for 415 billion, Mr. Speaker. It's being modest, considering the budget of the country is 4 trillion. Mr. Speaker, in fact, the National Assembly must blame himself because the latest audited account, Mr. Speaker, is them who have taken behind. It will become a hard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask. In fact, I'm donating myself for free to be part of mediation so that I can fix them, Mr. Speaker, at the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker. Because as Bob Marley said before he died at 36 years old, Mr. Speaker, in 1981, more fire, Mr. Speaker. He said there is much too honest in terms of running a society, Mr. Speaker. I want to challenge, and I know the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, let us allow counties have for 15 billion. Let us develop our counties, Mr. Speaker. Even if there are corruption, let us fight corruption, but give money to counties for development, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, the nation must know that revenue is divided in Parliament. It is not divided at IBEC, it is not divided in Karen, it is not divided in private residences. And Mr. Speaker, I am very proud of this Senate, and more so the chair of the Finance Committee and the members of the Finance Committee, for standing up for county governments and for reasserting the role of Senate as a house that divides and allocates revenue. Mr. Speaker, when we set up that mediation committee, I hope we will put in men and women senators with spine, because in the 11th Parliament, we had mediation every year. In the 12th Parliament, we had mediation 3 out of 5 years. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwan, are you implying that we have senators without spine?
Yes.
Proceed. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of senators with spine, not all of them. But, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the mediation committee will stand firm for the Senate, and they will not be intimidated by political party and partisan politics. This is about county governments. This is not about Kenya Kwanza. This is not about Azimio. And we hope that the way we stood up when you are coming up with a formula for revenue allocation, that this Senate will stand up to be counted. Where the Council of Governors failed at IBEC, where the National Assembly is failing county governments, that the Senate will be the house that lives up to defend and protect the interests of counties and their governments. And to the members of the National Assembly, when this money goes to counties, really, this money goes to constituencies. What we have seen of CDF, of course, there are some things on the ground we have seen, but we have also seen the cars in the parking lot coming from CDF. Let us be honest. You cannot be pointing fingers at governors and also not looking at what the rot and the problems that we have seen in allocation and distribution of the resources that should go to CDF. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court said that this House must be involved in decisions to do with the NGCDF, with the NGAF. And Mr. Speaker, we look forward to the day that that legislative proposal will be brought before the Senate, because the Senate will do the right thing and make sure that we respect the 2 levels of government in this country, national and county governments. Those are the 2 levels of government in the Constitution. Those other creatures were of the past Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the Senate is going to do the right thing, and the men and women in that mediation committee, please do not do what they did with Linturi. Shame on them. Shame.
Senator Methu.
Honorable Speaker, we watched with great disappointment yesterday, Honorable Speaker, as our colleagues were misleading the nation. And Honorable Speaker, there is something that we would want to demonstrate that was not demonstrated at the National Assembly yesterday. When they proposed that counties get 395 billion, 391 billion, how much had they gotten last year? They had gotten 385 billion, an addition of just 6 billion. What is the growth in the national budget? If the growth in the national budget is over 400 billion, how do you send 6 billion to the counties, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, we cannot purport to keep telling governors, we want you to employ more doctors, we want you to employ more nurses, we want you to employ more ECD teachers, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, we are not sending money is there. Where do you expect these governors to work from, Honorable Speaker? Number 2, Honorable Speaker, there has not and there shall never be a competition between devolution and CDF, Honorable Speaker. If anything, the courts have pronounced themselves on the position of CDF, Honorable Speaker. For CDF to be constitutional, it has to come to this House, Honorable Speaker, so that we shall also make our voice known, Honorable Speaker. This argument cannot be one-sided, Honorable Speaker. That honorable members of the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, are the umpires and they are the judges of who is working, who is not working. Where have you gotten approval that what is working is only NGCDF and GAV, Honorable Speaker, and devolution is not working, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, we want medicine in our hospitals, Honorable Speaker. I sit in the Public Accounts Committee, Honorable Speaker. We are saying that we want counties to improve in services, in service delivery, Honorable Speaker. Much of the functions that we are saying should be pushed to the county governments. If we push services to the county government without resources, how are they expected to offer these services, Honorable Speaker? Finally, They say, when you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. Now, devolution is being killed because of a malpractice here, another malpractice there, another malpractice there. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senator Kajwang and I sit in a committee called Public Accounts Committee. We have seen governors who have gotten unqualified audit opinions, Honorable Speaker. It is to mean that devolution is working in some counties, Honorable Speaker. If governors are not working, if devolution is not working, it is in your county and you have the ability to elect a governor that is working, Honorable Speaker. We cannot kill devolution because we have a bad governor, we have a wrong governor somewhere, Honorable Speaker. We cannot, Honorable Speaker, we had a member of parliament is complaining that a governor is disrupting.
Your time is up, Senator Ledama Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's time for us to reason, and to reason well like a house that unites the whole country. This is a time when I'm pleading to my colleagues from the other side of the aisle. Let us just not make noise today, but actually let it be actionable. This is the only opportunity we have. This is the only opportunity we have.
Order.
You know, I'd rather speak, I'd rather tell
Senator
you what
Ledama.
is on my mind.
Senator Ledama. Order, Senator Fernandi. I don't need your assistance to bring order to
Mr.
this
Speaker.
House. Senator Ledama, you started very well. Please, there is no side or there is no honorable senator who has made any noise. Because if you made any noise, I would have thrown them out. Kindly use parliamentary language. You are doing well so far. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the time for reckoning will come. And you know, and I want to be proven wrong on that time. This is the time for us to be able to practice what we preach. Because if we come here and we say our hospitals need medicine, we forget that the Ministry of Health has the largest share of the budget, 131 billion. We are only asking for 15 billion to be sent to 47 counties. I heard yesterday a honorable member of parliament saying that money should not go to counties, should go to CDF. First of all, CDF is illegal. Being illegal, it is imperative for us to remember that our work as legislators is to make laws.
Be heard in
So
silence.
we are making laws, we are dividing money between two levels of government. We have done the calculations, we have institutional, constitutional bodies that advises. The Commission of Revenue has given us a figure. Our Committee on Finance has settled on 415 billion. It is only logical that we go by that professional advice. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request my colleagues that because we will select distinguished men and women who we know will fight for devolution to be able to go to that mediation committee, please do not come back here saying that you've been compromised. Do not come back here telling us that, oh, you had to give in. It's a give and take. There's no give and take. Let me tell you the hard realities. This Senate does not have money. Today, joint services, parliamentary joint services, has more money. What is this animal called joint parliamentary services? If the Senate itself does not even have money for the committees, what are we talking about here? Let us be realistic. If we do not fight for the Senate, we will go down in history as a house that failed to defend devolution.
Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, also for this opportunity to give a brief comment on this matter. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the whole country was treated in a lot of theatrics at the National Assembly. It was very shameful to misdirect the country that whatever money that you are requesting for devolution to 415 will come from NGCDF, GAV, the mechanical transfer fund. Mr. Speaker, it was very misleading, especially even from the chairman of the budget committee and the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, you know when we request money for devolution to the counties, all our fathers, our grandmothers, our children, our brothers and sisters are domiciled in the counties. And they need services, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the list that you have just learned from the honorable members of the County Assembly, those are seasoned budget and appropriation committee members, veterans who have been there for the last 3 terms. We went to Parliament the same time with Dr. Makari Muru. When he is in that list, Mr. Speaker, I want you to match me with Dr. Makari Muru this time, so that we can be able to understand what we are talking of devolution. Actually, I'm written to the clerk to include me in that mediation committee this time, because we must make devolution work. We are not here so that we please some governors. If counties are not working, not all of them, if they are an issue with your governor, go and sort your issues with your governor in your county. Some counties are operating smoothly, executing very good services. Mr. Speaker, this time I think we want to be bipartisan on this matter. Let us all work together on the giving more counties money. And 415 is not asking too much. Maybe next year we want to go to 450 billion, Mr. Speaker, so that also services at the counties can be seen learning, and so that we can be able to make sure that devolution works. One thing, Mr. Speaker, that I've realized with His Excellency the President, is the only sitting president who last year by June 31st made sure that all monies will down the president.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii pia kuchangia taarifa kuhusiana na kukataliwa na Bunge la Kitaifa kwa marekebisho ya mswada wa ugavi wa pesa za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa ni sarakasi kubwa katika Bunge la Kitaifa jana, wakati baadhi ya wabunge walikuwa wanakejeli kazi zinazofanywa na serikali za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba pesa zilizoongezwa na serikali kuu kwa kaunti zetu ni shilingi bilioni 6 peke yake. Zimetoka bilioni 385 mpaka bilioni 391. Lakini tukiangalia wabunge wamejiongezea katika CDF milioni 30 kwa kila constituency. Ukifanya hesabu Mheshimiwa ya haraka haraka, unapata kwamba CDF imeongezewa bilioni 8.6. Bilioni 8.6. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kaunti zetu zinazofanya kazi kubwa ziweze kupewa bilioni 6 wakati constituency NGS CDF inapewa bilioni 8.5. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia pia zile baadhi ya gharama ambazo zimeongezeka, tukiangalia huduma za afya, social health insurance, tukiangalia NSSF, tukiangalia housing levy, hizi zote zinaongezeka Mheshimiwa Spika, zinaongeza gharama ya county kwa zaidi ya bilioni 20. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani sisi kama bunge la Senate ambao ndio tunalinda ugatuzi tuweze kuambiwa kwamba kaunti zetu hazifanyi kazi. Kila kaunti Mheshimiwa Spika inafanya kazi. Kama kaunti yako haifanyi kazi, ni wewe na gavana wako. Kama Kiambu haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Wamatangi, gavana wa Matangi. Kama Murang'a haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Kang'ata. Kama Meru haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Kawira. Lakini wasiweze, kwa sababu kama Kisii haifanyi kazi, ni Uroba na Simbarati. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kila soko Mheshimiwa Spika, katika sokoni Mheshimiwa Spika, ukinunua tomato, kuna nyingine ni mbovu, nyingine ni nzima. Na ndio hivyo hivyo katika ugatuzi, na ndio hivyo hivyo katika CDF. Kuna wananchi ambao wanalia katika CDF yao hawapati huduma zozote, lakini pesa kila mwaka zinakwenda katika CDF hili. Kwa hiyo na wasii wenzangu ambao tutachaguliwa katika
Senator Alexander Mundege.
Bwana Spika, ni aibu kubwa sana kwa wajumbe. Bwana Spika.
Order, Senator Mundege, just hold it. Senator Mazayo, you've just crossed to the aisle. You have crossed. And you're not supposed to come in between the senator who is speaking and the chair. Proceed, Senator Mundege.
Asante Bwana Spika, ni aibu kubwa sana katika Kenya MP 349 kusema magavana wafanyi kazi. Wakati tunajua hao magavana 47 wako na maseneta wao na hawajasema wafanyi kazi. Tumesikia hata MP wengine wakisema hata MC wakipatiwa pesa ipelekwe kwa CDF. Tukasindwa, kazi yao ni kazi gani? Na wametupatia aibu. Anja ya seneta na gavana ni sisi maseneta tunafaa tujue magavana wafanya kazi ama wafanye kazi. Kwa hivyo naomba wale watu tutachagua wakienda pale kuzungumzia ukatuzi wa counties na kutetea magavana ambayo wako na shinda ya mambo ya pending bill na wage bill, wao wamejikakamua kabisa wasiweze kuletwa down na hao watu. Kwa sababu ni kitu ya aibu sana kama MP afanye kazi, afai kusema gavana afanye kazi, hiyo ni kitu ya aibu. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono wale watu wataenda kutetea sisi, wewe na usunjaa, lakini watuletee pesa. Kwa sababu tunajua mwaka uliopita tuliyopatia magavana pesa haikutosha na ikafanya mpaka county haijafanya ile kazi ya ukatuzi tunataka. Mambo ya county ni mambo ya hospitali, ni mambo ya maji, ni mambo ya kusaidia watu masinani kona sote. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono wale watu wataenda kutetea sisi, waende kama ni nyumba ya juu na wasiletwe down na wale ma-MP ambaye ni watu wanataka kula pesa. Wamepatiwa pesa, kila county, kila MP ako na pesa milioni 150 na pesa ya barabara kila MP milioni 50, na tunjui hiyo pesa inafanya kazi gani, kwa sababu kazi yao ni ya kupeana mambo ya shule, hii hatukatai, na hiyo ingine ni ya kujengea NDC manyumba zao. Kwa hivyo ni aibu kubwa sana, ile pesa inaenda kusaidia mwananchi ambaye amelipa ushuru, halafu ndio MP anasema gavana afanyi kazi. Ni kitu ya aibu. Nataka kuambia ma-MP wote, MP hakuna yoyote anavaa kuonesha gavana Kindore angesema ni sisi maseneta tunavaa tufanye hiyo kazi. Asante, naunga mkono Bwana
Senator, order, honorable senators. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time that the Senate, these honorable senators, and the people of Kenya march on the streets and take these MPs out of Bunge. Because MPs have decided to just be selfish. They are extremely selfish because, think about it, the money we are talking about here, number one, they are misdirecting the country. The money we are talking about in division of revenue is superior to the idea of CDF. And the money we are talking about here, Mr. Speaker, has got nothing to do with CDF. The senators that you are seeing here, the people of the country should know that these senators are not selfish compared to the members of National Assembly, because the senators are fighting for money to go to the people. It's not the money that the senators are going to control. These monies are going directly to counties and to the people. But MPs are seeking to ring-fence money that they're going to control, that they're going to use for their own benefit. And number two, Mr. Speaker, the money that we proposed as Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. Speaker, in reality, it is only 13% of the money that is going to be raised in this country as projected revenue. So it's high time that MPs do understand that the money we are sending to devolution is the only money actually that goes directly to solve the basic needs of our people in the grassroots. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, that I'll be in that committee so that we help the MPs see the sense that the money we are sending to the grassroots is the money that, first of all, looks at agriculture.
Number 2, it is the money that looks at healthcare. It is the money that also looks at housing. It is the money that pays workers in the counties. And this money is superior and is in no way interfering with the monies for CDF or interfering with the money for CARA or interfering with any other money that MPs are selfishly ring-fencing for themselves. It is high time that we work together as members of parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, to actually make devolution work. MPs should start understanding that this is the only house, the Senate, that can ensure that the issue of basic needs in the grassroots can be able to be supported. Because right now, Mr. Speaker, if you look at it, the monies that MPs keep on ring-fencing, those money do not go to the basic need of our people. They don't address the issue of bread and butter. They don't address the issue of...
Senator Nyutu, the very last.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also join my colleagues in condemning the decision by the members of the National Assembly to deny counties the monies that we have requested for. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to remind the members of the National Assembly that their constituencies, which they like talking so much about, exist in counties, Mr. Speaker. And that when this money is sent to counties, it is being sent for appropriation by the same people that they serve in the constituencies, Mr. Speaker. One thing that the members of the National Assembly must remember, Mr. Speaker, is that health is devolved. And they do not deal with health in their NGCDF, Mr. Speaker. They must remember that their parents at home, their brothers, and all those that are related to them, when they get sick, they go to the medical facilities that are under the counties, Mr. Speaker. And lest they forget, let them know that disease, poor health, does not choose whom to get to. At least for the sake of health, Mr. Speaker, the members of the National Assembly must give way, must give in to the request that we have made for monies to counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I think my colleague Eddie has talked about it. We are the only sober house, Mr. Speaker, in this parliament. And why do I say that? It is because the money we are fighting for is not going to come to us. We are here talking about monies that are not going to come to us. And so this is not a selfish argument, Mr. Speaker. We are speaking for Kenyans. The members of the National Assembly must know that this is money going to counties. And Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge my majority leader here. This is a matter that requires...
What is a matter... Senator Nyutu. Order, Senator Nyutu. Senator Nyutu, you're totally out of order. When the chair speaks, you shut up. Can you yield? Can you take your seat? Can you give the microphone to the majority leader, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know this is a very emotive issue. And for those of us that have been around this roundabout for a while, we know a few things about how to win and how to lose this battle. Mr. Speaker, did you hear the senator for Muranga, my good friend, Senator Joe Nyotu, have it on record and just pause that, Mr. Speaker, and reflect on the fact that our standing orders provide clearly for relations between both houses of parliament. We may have misgivings about certain members of the National Assembly, but I would wish to draw the attention of the House not to reduce this to be a battle between the National Assembly and the Senate, because certainly it is not. Mr. Speaker, the senator from Muranga has gone on record saying this is the only sober house. That implies that there is a sober and a drunk house. I don't think, Mr. Speaker, that such comments
Order,
Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think that it is fair of us to castigate an entire house and cast aspersions on them based on the sentiments of one or two people that you may not agree with. Finally, you know, Mr. Speaker, I'd wish to plead with colleagues. I know this is very exciting. I see Senator Sifuna is very happy about this and the rest. You know, Mr. Speaker, this
Majority
is not a...
Leader, you have made your point of order. You did not... You are making a speech.
Why am I being...
Majority Leader, you've made your point of order. May I just make a... Order, Senators, order. Senator Mogeni, order. Now, Senator Nyutu, while you're debating, however emotional you may be, let us use parliamentary language. The House that is called National Assembly is honorable just like the Senate. So when you're referring to the other House, please refer it with some decorum. Now that you've concluded your remarks, we will let the matter, we will order, we'll terminate that debate there, and I will ask the clerk to proceed to call the next order. Before the clerk calls the next order, honorable senators, allow me to invoke Standing Order 45-2 to rearrange the sequence of today's order paper for the convenience of the House. We will move to handle Order 12 and thereafter resume normal flow of business as contained in today's order paper. Clerk, you may proceed to call that order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023.
Honorable Senators, let's transact business. No time to waste. Senator Medu. Honorable Senators. Senator Medu and the Kamkunji led by the minority leader. Let's dismantle those Kamkunjis. Minority leader. Senator Mazayo. Senator Sigey approves the chair.
Here's the vice chair.
Huh?
Chair wa Labour.